I almost got deported, and I just think it's like hilarious that they actually thought they could do something to me. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today's video, I will be sharing my experience traveling within Europe during COVID-19. I went to Serbia, France, Spain, and technically Italy, even though I stay within the airport. So I wanted to share my experience with you guys and hopefully give you guys advice and tips if you do plan on traveling to these places. Each country did have different regulations for COVID-19 restrictions and stuff like that. So I wanted to make this video and share my experience. Hopefully you guys won't make the same mistakes I did. And yeah, so let's get started. Alright, so the first place I went to was Serbia, and I went to Serbia to visit family, so there's not a lot of people that go to Serbia in the first place. Basically, you need a PCR test, and it's free in America, so it's very easy to get it. And I didn't have any issues going to Serbia at all. So then I wanted to go to Paris, France, and I traveled by myself there. I remember when I was in Belgrade, which is the capital of Serbia, I flew from Belgrade to Paris, and I remember like the line for check-in was so long, and I was thinking to myself, like, why is it taking forever? So when it was my turn, the lady asked for a PCR test or a vaccination card. I showed her my vaccination card. At first I was a little scared because I didn't really see a lot of people showing them their vaccination card, so I wasn't sure if I needed a PCR test to travel to France. So I was getting really nervous, but she accepted my vaccination card. And then she asked like where I'm gonna stay, like the confirmation code for my Airbnb, like all these like questions, and I'm just standing there like, all right, like give me a minute, I have to pull like my email up, and now I know why it was taking such a long time. It was fine, like I ended up being okay. And when I got to France, during passport control, they didn't even check my vaccination card. They just asked for my passport, so I didn't have any issues in France. Also, I did have a friend who lived in Paris, and I went out with him and his friends one night. They basically asked for a vaccination card to get into like the club or like a PCR test or something. And I like had my vaccination card, so I showed it to like the bouncer, and he was like, this is invalid. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I got vaccinated. And he's like, yeah, but you got vaccinated in the US, like you got vaccinated in America, like you can't get in, you have to be vaccinated in France. I'm like, America sent Pfizer vaccines to France and to Serbia and all these different European countries, and now you're telling me it's invalid because I didn't get vaccinated in France? Like, so basically the club had a COVID testing station right outside the club for that club, and it's a rapid test. You get your results like within 10 minutes. So I got tested. I think it was free, and I obviously was negative. And then I had fun in Paris. I did travel by myself, so I was alone most of the time. And I did realize a lot about myself. I will say, like, you will get really lonely if you do travel by yourself. Like, I remember feeling very lonely and like depressed. And it was raining and it was cold and cloudy like every single day. And I think that definitely made it worse. But I actually learned so much about myself. I felt more comfortable, you know, eating by myself, going to a restaurant, sitting down, ordering food, and like eating it by myself. I've never done that in my life before, so that was definitely an experience. And it really made me realize like how independent I actually am. I had to learn how to use the metro by myself, you know. And yeah, as a girl, it can get a little sketchy, and I did have some experiences where random old men would come up to me and like try to talk to me. This one man like tried to talk to me, but I ignored him, and then like literally like 5 minutes later he came up to me again, like he was following me, and he was just, excuse me, excusez-moi, like, you're so pretty, like, what's your name, where are you from? And I never say I'm from America. I literally was like, I'm from Serbia. Obviously, I have a very strong American accent, so I don't think they buy it. But technically, I am from Serbia, so I wasn't lying. But the old men situation was definitely really weird. But, you know, I'm a big girl. Like, I can handle myself for the most part. And it was during the day. I never went out at night by myself. Like, the good thing is it got really dark around 10 p.m. in Paris, so like I had enough time to like have a good day and then come home before it like becomes dark. Every time somebody came up to me, it wasn't like I was in a dark alley or anything. It was like there's a million people around me, so it wasn't like that unsafe, but it was definitely something really sketchy, and I definitely thought I was gonna get sex trafficked. So yeah, that was pretty much my experience in Paris. It is a very beautiful city. I definitely recommend going to Montmartre. I think I butchered that too. I don't know French. But I definitely do recommend traveling by yourself. I think it's an amazing experience. Definitely don't go for like a long time. At least personally, I don't think I can go for a long time. But I learned a lot about myself, and you know what? Like as lonely as I was and depressed, I think I would go again. I wouldn't go for a week, but I would go for about like 4 days somewhere by myself for sure. All right. So then I decided to go to Malaga for another week, and my cousin and her friend were there. So I had people to hang out with, which was really nice to be honest. And I had a really nice Airbnb. My cousin texted me telling me that I need like QR code and that I just have to like fill this thing out. And when I like filled it out, they didn't ask for any like vaccination or like COVID-19 documentations when I was filling out that form for the QR code. And then when I got to Spain, they literally just asked for my QR code. That's it. They didn't even ask for my passport or my vaccination card, like nothing. They were just like, oh, can I see the QR code? I'm like, yeah, they scanned it, and I was like, good to go. Yeah, I had a really good time. I spent quality time with my cousin from Serbia, and her friend was very, very sweet. And we went to the beach. The beach, here's the thing, like the ocean was a little cold, but it was just really nice just to relax after like going to a million museums in Paris. I met these Switzerland people. They were really cool. We went to get some drinks, and then we went to a beach club the next day. So it was definitely cool to meet some people. And yeah, we had a really good time. And I definitely recommend going there. You know, it's a very big vacation spot. There's not a lot of partying, unfortunately, but I'm sure once COVID chills out a little bit, their nightlife is probably really nice, but we didn't really experience that. Anyways, so then basically we were traveling from Malaga to Bergamo, Milan, Italy, and then from there to Nice, Serbia. That's where we're from. And oh my god, it was just a disaster. So basically what happened was I took a risk because I didn't want to spend 100 euros on a PCR test to be able to travel to Serbia. I think Italy accepted vaccination cards, so I kind of just took a risk with that. And when I got to Serbia, I was just gonna figure it out, but it just wouldn't make sense if they didn't take my vaccination card in Serbia, but whatever. Because I didn't show my vaccination card when I was traveling to Serbia the first time. So basically, like when we went to the airport in Spain, and when we did check-in, they didn't ask for any like COVID-19 documentations, like at all. Like they just asked for our passports, and she just gave us our ticket, and that was it. So we were like, okay. And then when we got to Italy, it was a connecting flight, but they weren't gonna like transfer our bags. So we had to get our bags and then leave the airport and then check in our bags and then go through security and everything again and then like go on the plane, right? So basically when we arrived in Italy, they asked for COVID documentations or a green pass. And we were like, what the hell is a green pass? I've never heard of that in my life. And so I showed them my vaccination card. They said that was okay. And then my cousin showed her antigen test, and then my cousin's friend showed her COVID-19 test, which was a rapid test, and they said that was okay. So we're good to go. They didn't even ask for our passports, all right? We just entered in a country and they didn't even check our passports. So then we got our checked bags, And we left the airport, and then we went back in the airport to check in our bags, right? And the line was so long. Meanwhile, we have like a 2-hour layover, right? And honestly, even though this seems like a lot of time, it was cutting it close, all right? Like, it was cutting it close. So basically, we're waiting in line for like, I swear it was like an hour. We're waiting in line. I'm like, why is it taking so long? So then it's our turn, and my cousin's friend is like showing her papers, whatever, and the lady goes, yeah, we can't let you on the plane. And she's like, what do you mean? And they're like, yeah, like this is a rapid test, you need a PCR test, we're not allowed to let you go on the plane. And she's like, what's the difference? And the lady was such an idiot. She was like, rapid test is quicker and the PCR test like takes like it's longer, blah, blah, like making like pulling shit out of her ass. Sorry for my language, but she really was. So then I kind of stepped in and I was just like, she is a Serbian citizen. She doesn't need any papers whatsoever to go back to her country. Honestly, just deport her. If you're gonna deport her, where are you gonna deport her? She's gonna go back to Serbia. It doesn't make sense what you're trying to say. And then I was like, let me talk to somebody like who's in charge, because this is like not okay. And then this man came, and then like I was talking to him, and he was like, she needs a PCR to leave Italy. Like, that's complete bullshit. We're leaving the country. I get if we were entering the country, but we were leaving. Like, that doesn't make sense, like, at all. And he's like, yeah, it's just, like, our rule, like, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, oh, my God. So, like, we were, like, arguing for, like, 30 minutes, and we were holding up the line. So everyone that was waiting, I do apologize to, because we were kind of causing a scene. Anyways, so I checked in my bag, and my vaccination card was valid, right? She said I can go on the plane. All right, just keep that in mind, right? And I had to go because like I was gonna miss the flight, and they had to figure it out, but I already checked in my bag, so I had to go. So I had to be on that flight. So I had to budge in front of everyone because the security line was so long, and oh my God, it was so bad. And like people were like cursing at me, and I'm just like, I kept it moving. And then after security, like I booked it to the gate, right? And this airport is probably the worst airport on earth because it's literally a zigzag. It's like the worst. I'm telling you right now, I wanted to cry, but I didn't have time to cry. I just had to like keep running. And like I was already like I was about to miss it, like honestly. So I was like going like all around, like I was going like this, like to the gate. And then I reach passport control, and I'm like, oh my God. So I go to the lady, I'm like, hey, like I'm about to miss my flight. And she's like, just ask if you can budge in front of everyone. I'm like, you're supposed to escort me to the front. Anyways, I was like, fuck it. So then I decided to budge in front of everyone. And then like in the front, I saw my cousin, her friend, and I'm like, so like I run up to them, I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, oh my God, like how'd you guys even go in? We're having this like full on conversation in front of this man, in front of like this police officer. So whatever, we go through passport control, and we like start running to the gate. We don't even have time to talk. We just started running to the gate, and of course they didn't even start boarding yet, because I should have known better. Serbians are so late all the time. So we were just waiting there, and we were like, I've never like I was so out of breath because I've never had to run that much in a really long time. So that was brutal. Like that was so hard. Like I wanted to stop so many times, but I couldn't stop. I just had to like keep it moving. Like they like kind of snuck her friend in, because like my cousin like took her like antigen test type thing and like kind of like erased her name, sent it to her friend, and she put her name. They like finessed it somehow, and then they had to budge through security like I did, and there was a shortcut to the gate. So I ran the whole thing, and there was a fucking shortcut that I missed, like of course. So I was like, oh my God, they're like, how did you not see it? I'm like, I did not see it. Like, are you kidding me? And then they asked again for COVID-19 documentations right before you enter the plane, and they had to finesse it again. Like the lady like took like my cousin's friend's phone and it kept like beeping red, but she was just like, all right, it's okay, like just go. And I was like, I don't know how you guys did it, because I'd be shitting my pants. Like I could never finesse, like at all. Like they completely finessed it. Like props to them. I'm telling you guys, like right now, they never told me what's required to enter the country before getting onto that flight. It's literally a scam. They tell you, oh, like you can travel to Italy or you can travel here for like $50, and then when you get to the airport they're like, oh yeah, like you can't get on this plane, we just stole your money. It's a complete scam, honestly. We get on the plane, whatever, we get to Niš and we leave the plane and they get in fine, you know, because they're Serbian citizens. I knew they weren't gonna give them a hard time. They checked for like, you know, antigen tests or PCR tests or a vaccination card, whatever, but they were fine, and they gave me a hard time. So basically I hand her my vaccination card and she goes, yeah, this is invalid. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, like we don't accept Pfizer vaccines. And I'm like, then how did I get on the plane? Like the people in Italy told me that I was gonna be fine. And she's like, I don't know, but we can't let you in the country, like this and that. And I'm like, well, I'm already in the country, so you can't just kick me out. And she's like, you have to go to the police. I'm like, oh, so I can't like quarantine or take a PCR test here? She's like, no, you have to go to the police, like you're not a Serbian citizen, like blah 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 blah. At that point I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to the police, like what the fuck, like absolutely not, like fucking deport me. Where are you gonna deport me to? Back to America? Yes, please send me back, I'm trying to go home anyways. And these like two men came and I kind of just like ignore them. And then like my cousin, because my cousin was like arguing with the lady too, because she knows more Serbian than I do. And we all of a sudden we see this lady like at the passport thing, and she was just like, come here. And like I went, and she's like, if anyone asks, like you're going to Montenegro. And I'm like, okay, like thank you so much. She like stamped my passport. I basically snuck into the country illegally. So like I booked it, and I saw my mom, we're like let's get in the car, like hurry up, like we gotta get out of here. And yeah, so basically I almost got deported, and I just think it's like hilarious that they actually thought they could do something to me. Like I didn't take this bitch seriously. Literally my like cousin like told her, she's like, how do you guys not accept Pfizer vaccines when America sent the vaccines to Serbia, and a lot of Serbians have the Pfizer vaccine, and now you're saying you guys don't accept it? Like what kind of bullshit? Like it was completely it makes me so mad, because like they're acting like they could do something, but their like logic behind it makes no sense. It was hilarious. So long story short, moral of the story, basically every country has different regulation. If a person's gonna be a bitch, they're gonna give you a hard time, and they literally have the power to not let you go on a plane. And that is like the craziest thing. Like the fact that I entered multiple countries and they didn't even check my passport is ridiculous. Like that is concerning. It's complete BS, and they just want to steal your money, and it's literally a scam. But yeah, so my advice is, if you plan on traveling within the EU and you don't want to spend 100 euros on PCR tests, I would recommend getting the vaccine. If you don't want to get the vaccine, just keep in mind you will have to pay 100 euros to travel within Europe, especially a EU country. And if you do plan on traveling to a country that's not part of the EU, like Serbia, I recommend not even traveling. But please, before you travel, make sure you do your research, because they will scam you for your money. I'm telling you right now. Just be careful. Ask a local if you don't know. I asked the Airbnb dude, if like I need anything to enter Spain, blah blah blah. Ask the locals, they will help you. Yeah, like ask around, ask people, just be careful. So I hope this video kind of gives you guys an idea of what to expect if you do plan on traveling to Europe. Like I said, every country is different, so just do your research. They will require either PCR tests, antigen tests. I know when I went back to America, I took a antigen test because it was the cheapest. It was only like 18 euros, or 18 dinari, I should say, because we have a different currency. And they only checked it in Belgrade, and then when I actually got to America, they didn't ask for any documentation. So it honestly just depends. And yeah, so I really hope this video definitely helped you guys. If it did, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments below. I will be answering all of them. I know how frustrating it is to travel and these countries having different rules and stuff like that. To be fair, before I traveled, I had no idea what the restrictions were. I kind of just winged it and hoped for the best, and I got very lucky. Some of you guys might not get lucky, some of you guys will get lucky. So if you have any questions, let me know. Please subscribe, it will motivate me to make more videos. And yeah, I really hope this was helpful. And the next videos that I plan on doing will be my European hauls. And I'm very excited to share them with you guys, so stay tuned. And yeah, I will see you guys next time.